Wait. So wait a minute. You want me to be away from my family for 21 days at a time and not even make minimum wage? Let's talk about this. All right, what's happening, YouTube world? Crazy Bag's coming at you, and this is going to be the first YouTube video recording that I'm going to upload to the podcast system. So look for it on your local or favorite, Spotify or iTunes or whatever you use. Okay. So here we go though. So interesting subject today. I read a lawsuit report. There was a settlement back in February, and I was reading about it on Landline. They had an article on Landline. And it really kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. And the lawsuit was against a trucking company in Arkansas. We don't have to name them. You guys can look it up. And it was about minimum wage and fair labor practices. And so I started thinking about what I made as a truck driver, right? What did I truly make as a truck driver? And I started thinking about some things, and wow, was I shocked at what I found. And what I found was most of the time I was making less than minimum wage or minimum wage when I was solo. And that's just mind-blowing to me that I didn't realize this back then. And so it occurred to me that most OTR truck drivers are making minimum wage or less while they are working. You're like, no, how can that be? How can that be? Well, think about it. You're away from your family 21 days at a time, most of you, right? You're away from your family that whole time, so you're working. So even if we take out 8 hours of sleep, all right, if we take eight hours a day, right? Because when you take your 10-hour break, we all know you're not going to sleep for the whole 10 hours, right? There's other things you're going to do. You're going to take a shower, you're going to eat, you're going to, watch YouTube, you're going to play video games, you're going to do something during that time. So let's just say 8 hours, all right? If you take 8 hours a day out, that means you were working 16 hours a day. You were either driving, you were getting loaded or unloaded, right? Or you were just there protecting the personal property of your company or the freight, right? Meaning the truck, the trailer, the contents, the cargo, whatever it may be. All of that stuff is working, right? If you're in the truck in the middle of the night and someone breaks into your truck, do you just get to roll over and go back to sleep and not worry about it, right? Oh, I'm not working. I'm on the sleeper. No, what do you got to do? You got to get up. You got to call the law. Depending on how you feel, you may get up and go try to chase them off, right? All that is considered working. So I started thinking about this, and I was like, wow, what kind of money does it really take to make, a fair wage truck driving for being away from your home and being gone all that time? So I kind of run the numbers. I kind of got them in front of me, right? So if you're going 7 days a week, that's 112 hours a week after you take out 8 hours a day. So it's 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, 112 hours, okay? At $8 an hour for that 112 hours, and we're talking straight pay, all right, you'd have to make $896, okay? Most of you probably do that. $8 is not minimum wage anymore. So most of you probably do at least that. So let's bump it up a little bit. $12 an hour. $12 an hour. You'd have to make $1,344 a week. Now, I hope most of you, as over-the-road truck drivers, are in this figure at least. All right, you're at least in this 1344. Okay, because if you're not, you need to find another company to work for. So I hope most of you are in this 1344 range. All right, and this is before taxes and insurance and whatever else you may have coming out. But 1340, that's $12 an hour. That's what you're making at 16 hours a day, right? Because you're responsible for that vehicle. You got to fuel the vehicle. You got to be there when they load and unload you, and you have to do the driving. All right. You're not home, therefore you're working. All right. That's my mindset right now. That's what I'm going with. At $18 an hour, you'd have to make $2,016 a week. Okay. So if you're not making $2,016 a week, you're not making $18 an hour with this train of thought of, hey, I'm away from home 7 days a week, and I'm working about 16 hours a week because you're responsible for the vehicle and the freight and everything else, right? $15 an hour is, what's it come out to? $16.80. right? So that's in between. In between 12 and 18, we got 15, right? So I did that one too, 1680. So if you're in that 1680 range, which this is, I was not this high when I was solo. I was in the 2000 range a week, just over it for the year last year when I was training, right? That's almost a 24-hour a day job. So that's a whole nother monster, right? But this lawsuit went to a federal court in Arkansas, right? And it was December of 2016 when it was filed, all right? They just settled February of this year. They got out of the lawsuit for $16.5 million. $16.5 million. And don't have to admit any wrongdoing or unfair labor practices. So basically, what did they do? They simply dug into their pockets, into the coffers, like most big companies do, and made something go away that could have gotten much, much bigger, right? They gave just enough money for the lawyers to go, hey, we need to settle this. I need my cut, right? I don't care about all these little guys going to get a little bit of money. I need my cut. This is a good amount of money. Let me convince my clients to settle this lawsuit. And that's basically what they did, right? They settled it for that, for $16.5 million. And it just, there's different things you do, right? So when you're out there, when you're driving a truck, right, you're working, all right? If you're a team driver, you have to stay on the truck, right, when you're not driving. So you're working. You're away from home. You're working, right? Waiting to get unloaded or loaded, working. Fueling, pre and post trips. Repairs on the side of the road, working. Anything at all that keeps you away from home should be considered working. I truly believe that. I don't know where my mindset was when I was on the road for 14 years, but you are working. That is what you're doing. You are working. You are not at home. You're away from your family. You are working, and you should be paid accordingly, in my opinion. That's just me. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means that is the way I feel about it today, right? So there's an Arkansas law that states this. I'm going to read it to you. Any work that requires travel that keeps an employee away from home overnight, which is completed during regular work hours, is work time and must be paid. Okay. Now, this is Arkansas law, so it's different all over. But I thought this law was interesting. Now, I haven't dug into each state yet, but I'm really curious to see. But what I did do was this. I went back and I figured in overtime pay, right? Because if we worked 112 hours, if you worked 112 hours at home, at a company, what are you going to get? Going to get overtime pay, right? If you're working for somebody else. At $8 an hour with overtime, at 112 hours a week, $1,184. $1,184 with overtime. So if you're not making at least $1,184 a week trucking, you're not even making minimum wage. And a lot of you are doing more than this, and good for you, okay? But you're in the minority. The majority of over-the-road truckers, all right, who are company drivers, are not making $1,184 a week. Therefore, they're not even making $8 an hour. They're not even making minimum wage, and they're away from their families. Keep that in mind. At $12 an hour, $1,632 with overtime. $1,632. At $15 an hour, $2,220 a week. All right, with overtime. This is the range I was in while training. Right? So while I was training, when I thought I was out there killing it and I was getting paid all this awesome money for what I did, I was really making $15 an hour. At $18 an hour, $2,664 a week. Now look, you can't use this if you're a 1099 employee. So all of you who are 1099s, lease operators, owner operators, fleet owners, you can't use these numbers because you're your own boss, and if anybody deserves to be, heckled at for not paying you minimum wage, you go look in the mirror because you own your own company. I'm talking about company drivers who work for companies. These are the numbers you should be worried about. The reality of it is just what the title is going to say. Most OTR truck drivers don't make minimum wage. It's the harsh reality of the industry. You're gone from home, right? Most of you 21 days or more. I was times I stayed away 4 to 6 months at a time. You're gone from home. You're eating unhealthy. You're having to sneak showers in when you can, squeeze them in, sometimes sacrificing a little bit of sleep in order to get clean, right? You're spending long times on docks with customers who don't appreciate you, both shippers and receivers. They don't appreciate what truckers do. I know it. I've seen it firsthand. I lived it. I understand it. All right? They don't appreciate you. So you're having to deal with nasty people waiting hours to get loaded or unloaded. You're driving on roads that have potholes the size of Volkswagens in them. You're getting shake, rattled, and rolled. Your inside organs are getting tossed around all day, right? That's what's happening. That's the reality of it. You're driving in a very stressful situation, high traffic, weather, wind, tornadoes, rain, whatever it may be, or you're out in 120-degree desert where a company won't allow you to idle, and they have this mechanism on there that does this opti-idle thing that doesn't work all the time, and you wake up and it's 100 degrees in your truck and you're half dead. These are all things that need to be addressed in the trucking industry, yet they keep pulling out money to make things go away. So hopefully someday these items can be dealt with, because there's no reason why truck drivers should be gone 7 days a week making, let's just say, $12 an hour, right? If we say 12, that's $13.44. I'd say that's what a lot of you are making, $1,344 a week. At 50 cents a mile, at 3,000 miles, that's $1,500. So I'd say $13.44 is probably a pretty good range that a lot of people are making, because there are people who make 60, 70 cents a mile, but they're not getting 3,000 miles. And there's people making, 40 cents a mile who might be getting 3,500 miles. It just depends. So keep that in mind, guys. Think about that when you're weighing out why you do what you do and why you make the sacrifices you do being away from your family. You need to make sure that you're being compensated properly for that time, in my opinion. So make sure you do that, guys. Just look, that was just some little factual information that I thought I'd share with you, because I found it very interesting when I tried to figure it out myself. That at $12 an hour with overtime, I have to make $1,632 a week to be at $12 an hour. The life on the road is no longer for me. This is reassuring that, right? This is reaffirming that to me. When I'm looking at these numbers, I have people who heckle at me for what I do now, okay? For what I do now at $16 and $18 an hour on most days. Some days 20, some days 30. But I probably average $20 an hour at the end of the week. I got people that heckle at me for that. These are the same people, right? Making $1,344 a week that are making $12 an hour and don't see their family. I'm home every night. I see my family. Guys, there's a better life than trucking if trucking can't get their stuff together, right? So just remember that. Don't be afraid to look outside the box and see if there's a better way for you to make a better living. Chad Rich, just recently, a buddy of mine, he just recently left trucking after 20 plus years, the OTR trucking, and got a local job where he gets guaranteed $1,300 a week. All right, I believe it's $1,300 a week. It might be 12, but even at 12, it's $30 an hour. All right, OTR is not a long-term environment for anybody, in my opinion. Now, if you're single, if you own nothing, no house, no bills, no nothing, no family to worry about, this may be good for you. This may be the perfect life for you, and I get that. I look at it and I go, you know what? If I was single, I didn't have to keep a household up. I didn't have nobody to miss me at home or anything like that. $1,344 a week, even if it's $12 an hour, and I've got a roof over my head every night, I'm good. I'm good. Give it to me. Bring it on. I get that. But I'm talking about for those of us that, or those of you, us, I'm no longer on the road. But those of you that have families at home that are tugging with yourselves, fighting with yourselves, and you and your spouse are trying to figure this out and weighing it out, and is it really worth it? You really need to look at what you're getting paid for what you do. All right. Y'all stay safe out there. Be smart. All right. Today is Memorial Day. So thank you for all of you who served. I do appreciate that. And may God bless you all.
The pizza?
Pizza?
Pizza, Dada?
We're going to have pizza?
How no, yeah.
When are we
Not
having pizza?
pizza. Nana? What did that?